if we handle politics that way. Fortunately, we don't. This is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com. You can get us on the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone. That's TuneIn Radio on your smartphone, where you can listen to us anywhere in the world. And you can also get us on... I'm typing on my phone. I'm sorry. You can also get us on our website, hotnewstalkradio.com. That's hotnewstalkradio.com, and noogaradio.com, where you can listen to us anywhere in the world on our website. Now, so far as posting something on Facebook goes, and does it do any good? Is it going to help out with a protest at all? The answer is no, it's not. Other than just to show people that you think this is a good thing. And that really doesn't do much of anything these days anyway, if it ever did. Because it shouldn't, honestly. Who cares what people think? If an entity wants to do something and it has the power to do it, even if people are hugely against that motivation or hugely against that movement, they're going to do it anyway, because who's going to tell them to stop? What, like people? Corporations don't care what people think other than just for marketing. I mean, Apple is not going to stop using child labor because it's unpopular. Apple would not be able to sell iPhones if it stopped using child labor. We have this odd mentality in the 21st century where this company does this bad thing, but I'm going to ignore this bad thing that this company does. What are you doing? You know, what are you doing here? I hate petroleum, but I love the plastic in my phone and the chips in my phone, because those are petroleum products. You're not going to get non-petroleum plastics anytime soon that are actually viable for anything, anything really. You know, as much as I would love to live in a world where we have 100% vegan, algae-based plastics, we're not there yet. To sustain the modern world, you have to use petroleum. It's the only way. People like to say, "Oh, no, if we just get rid of the coal, man, if we just use, if we get rid of the petroleum, if we just use solar power doesn't generate plastic. You need plastic. Do you like driving your car? You need plastic. It doesn't matter if it's a solar-powered car. It doesn't matter if it's got a nuclear power plant in the back. You need petroleum for the plastics inside that car. They're all petroleum-based. There's no two ways about it. Do you like rubber? You like petroleum. Do you like Vaseline? You like petroleum. You just don't want to put that label on it. So oil is not a bad thing. People like to say, oh, look at the bad oil. Look at the evil oil. Oil is not the problem. The problem is how people are attaining. And, you know, you could argue about eminent domain and people stealing people's land to get oil, and that's not a good thing, right? That's not a good thing. But the oil itself is not the problem. It's the people getting it. It's like guns. Guns aren't a problem. Firearms in and of themselves are no issue. They're a non-issue. They're a tool. I own guns, and I'm not going to kill anybody. It's a non-issue. It's an item. You know, knives are non-issues. They're items. There are different things like nuclear weapons, where nuclear weapons are not good because they are designed to and will, upon use, kill thousands and thousands of people. You know, if you use a nuclear weapon on a person, you're not just going to kill the person you intend to kill in self-defense. You're going to murder everyone in the area. So there is a limit to that analogy. But so far as this protest in North Dakota goes, I think that there's a lot of misguided attention that's being given. Kids, especially kids and people in their early 20s, are not very smart when it comes to politics because they've not been in it for very long. Simple as that. They've not been in it for very long. I've not been in it for very long. But I know enough politicians, I've worked with enough politicians, and I've talked to enough of them to get the mentality. I get what's going on up there. And there's a lot going on up there. I get what's going on in the corporate sense, because I know a lot of business people and I work with a lot of business people, so I kind of know what's going on up there. I know their motivation. The motivation is either I want a secure fund for myself, my friends, my family, and screw everybody else. That's largely a mentality that happens with cronies. Now, cronies are completely different from real capitalists, because true capital is social capital, and you're not going to have social capital with the CEO of AT&T as an example. He doesn't care. He's got, you know, he doesn't care about really anybody except for himself. That's just how it is. You know, and British Petroleum and Texaco back in the day, and any given oil company is going to be that way because it's a government corporate partnership. So how is this a tech story? How is this a tech story at all? What does it have to do with technology? It has a lot to do with technology, believe it or not, because there are people who are so deluded as to think that it matters if they share something on Facebook, that matters politically. I'm going to share an article on Facebook, and it's just going to blow up, and people are going to care about my cause. Even if people care about the cause, though, what difference does it make? And people say, well, if we just have enough warm bodies at this particular protest, it'll make a difference. It didn't make a difference at Kent State. It didn't make a difference in L.A. It didn't make a difference in Cleveland. It's not going to make a difference in Baltimore. It didn't in Baltimore. Why do we think that protesting in person makes any difference whatsoever? It doesn't. It doesn't. It does in the sense that it's going to make people think what you want them to think. You're going to make it socially unacceptable for them to think differently, which is then another form of coercion, which is what I thought you were fighting against anyway, but whatever. But then you also have the issue of people who just are so adamant they're going to do a good thing that they'll do anything to do this good thing, even if it harms them and other people too. Well, the thing that's going on right now is checking in. On Facebook, you can check into a location, and it doesn't really do any good. Checking into a location is a marketing tool, and it's a really good marketing tool. When you check into, there's a particular bar downtown in Chattanooga where you can check in and you get a free pretzel if you do. And it's really great. You do it every time. You get a free pretzel. So you have a nice beer and you've got a really salty pretzel, so you drink your beer faster. It's marketing. It's all marketing. Life is marketing. And people don't get that because they are so against the idea of marketing that they don't want to read into it. There's nothing wrong with marketing because it governs everything we do. You ever try to sell something to somebody? I don't even mean a product. I mean an idea. You're marketing at that point. It's marketing. It's capitalism. You are marketing. You can't get around that. There's even facets of capitalism hidden within communism. They just don't want to admit it because you still have to sell the idea to people, and that's marketing and that's capital. It's just capital for a particular party and supposedly for everybody else, but it's not because it can't end up that way, and socialism doesn't work, but we know that because we're Americans. There's no way your Facebook check-in is confusing North Dakota cops, says Ars Technica. On Monday, supporters of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe protest against the North Dakota Access Pipeline, Dakota Access Pipeline began a viral campaign enticing people to check in to the reservation on Facebook as a way to overwhelm and confuse law enforcement, which it's a noble move. I'll put it that way. It's noble in the sense that I don't even necessarily agree with what they're doing, but it's noble in the sense that they have a moral goal in mind and they're willing to take a modicum of risk, although it's not really any risk whatsoever, and check in on Facebook at this particular tribe, which does no good whatsoever. Because here's the thing. You don't know how bad it is when it comes to collusion between social networks and governments. You don't know how bad it is. We like to pretend that we can make a difference on Facebook, but you can't if you don't know how bad things really are. They are very bad. On Facebook, they sell information to the feds. Plain and simple. That's Facebook's huge moneymakers selling that information to the feds. So again, if you're against big government and if you're against the idea of cronyism, why are you on Facebook? Why do you use an iPhone? Why do you use Microsoft Windows? Why do you use iOS? Why do you use Macintosh OS, Mac OS 10? Why? If you use Linux even, Red Hat is a huge contributor to Linux, and it's also a huge government contractor. So even if you really want to separate yourself from the two big bads of operating systems, Macintosh OS 10, Apple OS 10, and Windows 10, oddly enough, they're both 10, and you go for Linux, you're still using a Red Hat product to some degree, one way or the other, in the Linux kernel. So you're still contributing or using a product from a government contractor. So you're still part of the problem. You're always going to be part of the problem. But realizing how big a part of the problem you are is a step in the right direction, at least. Because I can't pull myself out of that machinery. You know, as a journalist and as someone who is in media, you can't pull yourself out of the machinery of government in one way or another. You have to either deal with a government player, you have to deal with someone who works for government, you have to interview someone who works for government, you have to talk to someone who's in government or in big business or any one of these things you abhor. You have to. It's part of the job. So you can't separate yourself from that. And people in the 21st century, especially kids, love to convince themselves that they get to be cool and different and fight the system by posting things on Facebook. It does no good whatsoever. If you really actually want to show solidarity, you'd go there and do something about it. But people don't want to do that. You go and do something. I don't know what that something is, but you go and do something. But we live in this now comfy bubble where I'm not going to go do anything. I'm going to post about it on Facebook instead, or maybe on Twitter. I'll tweet about it and I'll get it trending, but has anything really changed? No, not really. I mean, net neutrality was going to happen anyway, so that protest was stupid. That caused nothing. There was with Bernie Sanders. Oh, if we just share the fact that Bernie Sanders exists, then he can get himself elected. And I respected Bernie Sanders as a person. I don't respect him as a politician. I think his politics are terrible. But I respect him as a person because he did what he thought was right. And he did it pretty well. And he had a lot of people backing him. Bernie Sanders is I'd say, a respectable guy. Not in every respect, but he's a respectable guy. But he got screwed over by the system. That's what happens. He got screwed over by the system. Even though the will of the people was pretty clearly, pretty plainly that Bernie Sanders should get the nomination, he got screwed over by the system. So why do we have faith in the system, for one? And why do you think posting on Facebook means anything at all when it comes to politics? Now, there's a difference when it comes to like news stories. News stories are completely different. If you're posting news on Facebook, that does increase public awareness, and that's good. That's great that you're doing that, and that's excellent. Sharing articles is great. You're not going to change anybody's mind, though. People exist in an echo chamber. You're not going to get on Facebook and say, here's why you should vote for Hillary instead of Trump, and have someone vote for Hillary instead. It doesn't work that way. People are going to vote the way they're going to vote. Good luck changing someone's mind. You might have someone who's fluid enough to start thinking differently, but that person was already susceptible to societal pressures anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just tired of this whole mentality I see, especially among my peers, where they think that if I just do this thing online, I can solve all these problems. You can't. It doesn't work that way. You're jaded if you think it does. You're very naive if you think that it does. And unfortunately, way too many people are way too naive. And it's an interesting ploy, though. It is a very interesting ploy because you have a lot of young people who are very angry politically. They have a lot of pent-up political anger. So how do they release that pent-up political anger? They get in arguments on Facebook and on Twitter. What good does that do? They're not talking to legislators. They're not running for office. They're not talking to people who can make a difference. They're not running for office alongside people who can make a difference. They're not campaigning for people who can make a difference. They're sharing articles on Facebook and getting into political arguments. That's not going to do you any good at all. You're not changing anybody's mind. You're not really doing anything that's going to do anything. But, stay in your bubble, I guess, if you want to. So that's my thought on what's happening right now with North Dakota. There's this whole protest going on in North Dakota. It's the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, which I'm sure, all the Native Americans have been battered wrongly in one way or another. And this is just yet one more in a long chain of things that's going to happen. In recent months, activists have been protesting at the site on the border of North and South Dakota in an attempt to halt a planned oil pipeline that many believe would damage local water supplies and desecrate tribal lands. This Facebook plea is similar to calls back in 2009 during the controversial presidential election in Iran, where supporters of the Green Movement urged people to change their Twitter location to Tehran. Similarly, there was no indication that this action mitigated local Iranian authorities' ability to arrest protesters. So it's a noble cause. It's a noble thing, but it's not going to do anyone any good. People have this odd idea that the cops are always checking Facebook to see who is where. But there's a much easier way for the cops to find out where you are. They contract with Facebook. Facebook sends them location information. Your carrier sends them location information. And they can do most of this without a warrant. So there's no need for them to log on to Facebook as a user. User side, there's nothing there for a policeman other than to maybe read your status updates about how you're protesting. But even then, you've posted that you're going to do this, even though you're obviously not there. So what's the point? Your location is, say, in Canada, as an example, because I know people who are there. Your location is set to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you were just at a Starbucks in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but you checked in at a protest in North Dakota. Seems like there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. People don't think when it comes to stuff like this. They see a blurb that says, share this article and you can save this kid's life. And so they do it and feel good about themselves for half a second and forget about it later. That's modern politics. That's modern both evangelism and modern, what's the word for it? Not hospitality. There's a word for these kinds of things, and it slips my mind at the moment. But that's the modern sense of charity. There we go. That's modern charity. Share an article, and you've saved everybody instead of actually taking action. And that's the modern mindset. I don't want to do anything. I want to share an article that says that I've done something because I'm a good person, or at least I like to pretend that I am. Welcome to modern politics. And on the police side, I think this is a much bigger issue, by the way. On the police side, all the cops have to do is ask Facebook for your information. I mean, it's as easy as that. They probably get it sent to them every day in regular emails. The social networks and phones especially are the biggest, and I mean the biggest, tracking tools ever in existence, possibly in the human race's history. The phone is the easiest way to track somebody's location, because all you have to do is see, oh, he logged into his Facebook page. There's his IP address, which triangulated his position. It's easy for them. The phones and the systems are designed for it to be easy for them to find you, because Facebook, Google, Twitter, they're government contractors, at least in one way or another. They are government contractors. So that's why I say you have no idea how bad things really are. It's not, Joe Blow at the Chattanooga Police Department logging into Facebook and seeing what you've posted, because anyone can do that. I can do that without any sort of special powers. He's not really doing anything wrong at that point. He's doing something that anyone on the planet can do. That's fine. But instead, you have tools where they send you way more advanced data, way more advanced telemetry than that, and it gets sent right to them usually without a warrant, because it's customer information. They send it willfully. They sell it. And you agree to give it up when you sign up for Facebook and when you signed up for Twitter. Now, I'm not saying Facebook and Twitter are bad things, because we use it. There's nothing inherently wrong with having a Facebook account or having a Twitter account. Those things are fine. What is wrong is oversharing. And you can do a lot of oversharing on Facebook. I wouldn't talk about politics too much on Facebook, especially if you have what you think are subversive ideas. It's probably not a good idea to trumpet that, because there's a pretty decent chance you could be put in a list that says, look, this guy is an extremist. We need to keep an eye on him. And when we start rounding people up, we'll know that he's one of the guys we need to get. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know. It's one of those tools that the police use. Is just one more tool that the police can use, I guess. Anyway, so Facebook, by the way, is becoming a powerful tool for insurance agencies too, because there's an insurance agency that was going to, but now has been banned from doing so, was going to base your premiums based on your Facebook posts. So are you someone who has a life insurance policy and you go base jumping a lot? Well, your premiums are going to go up like crazy because your insurance company saw that you go base jumping all the time. Facebook has now ruled out the launch of a new car insurance policy for the UK company Admiral Insurance, which would have analyzed a customer's posts on the social network to help set premiums. Admiral has not responded, of course, to our Syndica's request for comment, but The Guardian says of the original plans, Admiral Insurance will analyze Facebook posts on first-time car users to check out their personality traits and set their premiums based on that. Amazing. This is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com. We're going to talk more about self-driving cars a little bit. Government's appointed somebody to govern, I guess. He's the czar of self-driving cars.
Everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
A $500 gift card. $500? What? That's right, Bunky. A $500 gift card from a store of your choice. The agents at Exit Realty Scenic City are confident they can sell your house. They can do it in 99 days or less. If your listing proves a slowpoke, they will give you a $500 gift card. No one works harder for you than agents at Exit Realty Scenic City. Licensed in Tennessee and Georgia. Exit sells quickly all types of commercial and residential properties and vacant land. Looking for a dream home, or maybe you're just a first-time home buyer? Let an agent get you started today on your house search. If you're a real estate agent looking for a change, see what Exit can do for you. Training, technology, branding, culture, and financial freedom. Again, Exit Realty, Scenic City. Call 423-551-EXIT to learn more. Call 423-551-EXIT and learn more.
Terms and restrictions may apply.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Prices so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabi.
Hey-ho, silver, away!
The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is.
Hey-ho, silver, away!
We're at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Yes, ma'am. 2 orders of nachos with beef and beans and 2 beers. Chattanooga loves its Amigos restaurants, but the Amigos in Hickson has something extra. NCAA, the week's big game. How about a house wine? Really good. Big name beers. Just tell Maria what you want. And here at Amigos, margaritas are popular. And it's only $3 a day. If you come here on a game day, Saturday, a Natty Light is only $2.25. Here at Amigos, just during NCAA, Natty Light, $2.25. Amigos Mexican Restaurant in Hickson. The happy hour is 3 to 9 today and every day. I'd say the atmosphere is festive. Look at that huge TV. It's like being amid the fans under a bright sun, but without all the heat. Stay cool. Quench your thirst. Amigos, between the Staples and Hobby Lobby. Take the table next to mine and enjoy the great NCAA game with friend or family here at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Okay, shh, it started.
Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now, 805-9100. I received a call that I won't forget. The guy is a Chattanooga police officer who served our great country in the Air Force. A true American hero. Our hero is renting, which costs too much for a space too small. We helped him achieve the American dream. And the best part is this. He purchased a $180,000 home with 0 down. His payment is $200 less than what his rent was. And now he has a safe place with more space to raise his family. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes and 1 phone call. 805-9100.
Turn a house into a
At Eyer Optical, it's a well-known fact. When you buy 1 pair of glasses, you get a second pair absolutely free. But did you know Eyer Optical has the largest eyeglass selection in the area, with top-name brands and styles in the latest trends? Schedule your appointment with one of the doctors today for a comprehensive eye exam. And remember, when you buy 1 pair of glasses, you get a second pair absolutely free. Visit EyerOptical.com for a location near you.
Eyer Optical.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A state of emergency declared in Alabama following a massive explosion and 1 worker killed in a gas pipeline blowout. Multiple officials urging the public not to panic, and one Colonial CEO saying they could have gas flowing again by Saturday. A store clerk at the Circle K on Shalford Road says that a regular customer he knew walked in and then tried to wrestle his gun from him after a short discussion about firearms. He succeeded when the passenger of his car pointed a gun at the store clerk, who gave up. He's still not retrieved his gun, but the suspect has been arrested. A woman says she called the sheriff's department after her friend spotted her stolen truck in the driveway of someone's home. When deputies did a check, they found multiple other stolen vehicles and a stolen ATV in the driveway of Charles Bowman's house. Deputies arrested Bowman and charged him with 4 counts of theft of property. The price of gas in Tennessee holding steady for now. Going on the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Like us on Facebook, get us on TuneIn.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect very warm and dry weather out there through your afternoon with some sunshine. Could be another record breaker. Highs near 84. Tonight, lows only 58 to 60. For Thursday, increasing clouds. May see a late sprinkle or light shower, not much. Highs 80 to 82. Breezy and cooler for Friday. Did you know that you could purchase a home now with little or nothing down? Find your dream home with McBriar Realty. Call McBriar Realty now at 706-657-2353 or McBriarRealty.com. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
I just got done sucking down some coffee I got at Earth Fair. And they're not paying me to say that or anything, but it's really, really dang good stuff. It was horsepower 454, something like that. I don't know. I'm bad with numbers. I can't do math. Anyway, it was really good coffee, dark stuff, which is exactly what I like. I like my coffee like I like my toast, which is black. No, it's good stuff, man. If you're ever at Earth Fair, check out their coffee section. It's actually really good. Their beer is decently well-sized as well. Lots of local stuff. I'm into that. I like local beers. You can't say that without sounding like a hipster. If you say I like local beers, you gotta sort of stroke your beard you've had for only about a year, and which I'm working on one right now. And you've got to pull out your American Spirit cigarettes, or maybe even a cigarillo, Spanish, I don't know, and talk about how much you love craft beers, and you French press your coffee every morning when you go to work at the tech startup that your uncle does. I mean, you can't talk about some things without sounding like a hipster. You really can't. You know, like I love craft beer. I just love the local beer scene here in Chattanooga. It's really amazing. But anyway, I have to talk to my friend Damien about this new band he's starting. I'm gonna be the synth. I'm gonna be the keyboardist. It hurts me to talk about stuff like that, man. But really, though, the new Earth Fair just opened up on Hickson Pike, and it's really good stuff. The grand opening was very busy, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It was easy to navigate, and the sales associates were amazingly helpful. Those guys knew where everything was, and I got salsa, which is actually kimchi. He's in Korean. I got that for free because I got a card that I signed up for, and I think I sold my soul to get it. But it was worth it. I'm going to try it after the show, and I'll let you know how it is. I'll take a photo, and I'll take a picture, take an image, and put it on Facebook. Now, I talked about government a lot. I talk about stuff that makes me mad, and it's funny because nothing makes me madder. Nothing makes me upsetter. Nothing makes me more upset than dumb design, bad design decisions. You can we could have communism today in America, and I wouldn't be as peeved about that as I am about the new MacBook, because that's just the kind of guy that I am. But the most annoying thing to me ever right now is TV apps and how badly they work sometimes. I have the HBO Go app on my television. I have a Roku TV, so my TV has apps now too. First your phone, then your computer, then your television now too. What's next? My fridge? Oh wait, that's happened too. Dang, man. But you can get apps on Roku TV. Roku TV. They need to change their name to something easier to say. And it's a good app. It has good content. It's got all the HBO stuff, so I can watch The Sopranos all over again, which I can do on Amazon Prime too. But the thing is, the interface is so bad that it makes me not want to watch HBO anymore. It really is that bad. I want to get caught up on, Game of Thrones or whatever the heck I'm watching today. And Westworld, actually, I just watched. And the interface makes me so upset that I want to just pirate the episode instead of watching it on HBO. And that's not a good sign when the easier option is to pirate something than getting it from the original source for free, because I'm leeching off of my parents' account, so I'm not paying for it. But it's easier to pirate the episodes than it is to watch it on the website. That's not a good sign. That's really not a good sign. The Verge wrote an article here, and actually it was a particular person, Caitlin Tiffany, who has two first names apparently. Caitlin Tiffany, writing for The Verge. I don't want to steal her thunder, so go read her article. It's called HBO Go. No, Dear HBO Go, I love you, but fix your interface, it says. It says HBO is home to many programs which I watch and appreciate and like to dish about with my friends. She says, I love to blog about Game of Thrones. That's very useful, Caitlin. I have deeply enjoyed what I've seen so far of Insecure and Divorce. I've never seen that, even though the latter is incredibly depressing and everyone wears wool tights all the time. And I don't know what she's talking about. But anyway, she goes into how the interface is really not very good. She says, unfortunately, that brings us to the only problem I have with HBO Go. Its user interface. It's sort of bad, especially when compared to its cousins, Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu. HBO seems to have all the money and talent it needs to do stuff well. HBO even has enough engineering talent to get around the system overload problems that come with making the most popular TV show in the world, Game of Thrones, and yet it's stumbling over the basics. You can't add things to a list, and if you do, it's not alphabetical, which is dumb. You really don't have like a user profile. It's just you have logged into HBO Go. Congratulations. Now watch the stuff we cater for you. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get that. FX Networks does a similar thing, which I watch Atlanta on. I really like Atlanta. And I've been watching Simpsons now, because Simpsons is like all of the Simpsons is on fxnetworks.com, and I sign in with my cable subscription. I'm on Charter in Georgia, so I can log in no problem. And I've been watching The Simpsons, but on the TV, you can't just watch an episode. Like, there's an episode of The Simpsons I really like. It's season 4, episode 2. You can't just do that. You have to go through pre-curated playlists they make for you, and you watch the best of Bart, or you watch all of the Treehouse of Terror or Treehouse of Horror. It's dumb, man. Like, come on. I don't know why they do that, but they do that, and it makes me upset. Nothing makes me more upsetty than bad design, and I really, really hate bad design. Case in point, the new MacBook. The new MacBook is a beautiful machine. It looks really good. So in terms of visual design, the MacBook is great. In terms of technical engineering and tactile design, it's really not. Now, the keyboard's probably all right for an Apple keyboard. I've never really liked the Apple keyboards, but that's just me. You know, there's a difference between taste and good design. Like, I might not like Renaissance architecture, but that doesn't mean it's badly designed. That just means I don't like it. You know, like, I don't like iOS, but it's pretty well designed. I just don't like it. There's a difference. But the thing is, the new MacBook has made some fatal errors, one of which is the lack of an SD card slot. There's no SD card slot on the new MacBook. You can't use an SD card. Now, who uses MacBooks? Riddle me this, Batman. Who uses MacBooks? I would like to know. Well, young professionals, yuppies mostly. You know, photographers, design people, people who specialize in design usually use MacBooks. My dad does graphic design and video editing. What does he use? He uses a Macintosh Pro. Not a MacBook, but he uses a Mac Pro for work. So designers use Macs, and that's all right because they're actually really good for that. So why would you alienate that audience by leaving off the SD card slot? Now, you might be saying, what difference does an SD card slot do? You know, maybe you're not a designer, maybe you're not into photography, you don't know. Most cameras in these days, most photography cameras, you know, the snappy things that people use to take pictures and post them on Facebook, those things use SD cards to store their photos. And they're usually really big photos too. So you don't want to have to use an adapter. You just want to, you know, I want to unplug the card thing, plug it into my laptop, drag the files over, and then put it back in my camera. It's a simple process if you have an SD card reader. But for some bizarro world reason, Apple decided, you know what? People like the SD card slot. Let's get rid of it. I don't know what they're thinking, but it's not good things that they are thinking. Phil Schiller says the MacBook Pro doesn't need an SD card slot. So Schiller, living up to his name, is shilling for Apple. Apple is taking a lot of flack for his decision to drop the SD card from the new MacBook Pro range and outfit it with Thunderbolt ports only. But the company is confident it made the right choice, even if a lot of users won't agree with its reasoning. Now, there's a difference between, you know, a good leader and a bad leader. With a good leader, even if the good leader is making decisions you don't necessarily agree with, you'll go along with it because you trust them, right? Like, people trusted Ronald Reagan. He didn't make the best decisions all the time, but people forgave him for it because he was a good leader. You know, George W. Bush was actually a pretty good leader in terms of, you know, leadership skills. He was pretty good at that, and he made a lot of really bad decisions. In fact, most of his decisions were really bad. But people still went along with him because he was a good leader. His cabinet liked him. He's a good leader. Apple is much the same way. Apple is consistently and constantly making very bad decisions. But, you know, Apple is the trend setter. It's the leader. So people go along with whatever Apple does because Apple's a pretty good leader. And that's unfortunately how it is these days with the world of tech. Apple, for some bizarre reason, is the leader when it comes to laptop design. I don't know why, But as soon as the new MacBook Pro comes out, there's going to be an Asus laptop and an Acer laptop that look just like it, and people will think you're just really cheap for owning a laptop that looks like a MacBook but isn't. When in actuality, you just wanted an inexpensive laptop you could put Linux on. But go figure. Speaking to The Independent, which is actually a pretty good newspaper, Apple executive Phil Schiller said the company had dropped the SD card slot as it was cumbersome. Oh, yes, this small slot in the side of my computer is cumbersome. And because wireless transfer technology for cameras is proving very useful as an alternative. A lot of photographers, though, would disagree with this, although wireless tethering is certainly getting better, and it is. It's frequently buggy and still slower than using an SD card to get photos to your computer. In a professional situation where speed and reliability count, it's not a viable alternative, which is why people will be forced to use a dongle instead. Now, a dongle is a funny word which describes an adapter. I don't know why they don't just say adapter, but they always say dongle because dongle's a funny word, and I like saying dongle anyway, so I don't really mind. But dongle, it's an adapter where you plug it into USB-C, which is the port, which is the prevailing port now on the new MacBook. You plug it into the USB-C port, and then it adapts into, say, an SD card slot, or maybe FireWire if you're old school. You're kicking it cool with the kids. Maybe it's a floppy drive if you want to be a hipster and you store all of your JPEGs on a floppy drive. Or maybe your animated GIFs, you've got one or two of those on a floppy disk. Or maybe you've got what's the word? A flash card, compact flash card. There we go, a compact flash card. That's pretty useful stuff. It's used in emulation a lot. Well, the thing is, you have to get an adapter for that now on the Mac. And also, you have to get an adapter for regular old, dang old USB, like USB Type A, the USB type that every single device on the planet uses except for your smartphone. So say you have an older printer that is not networked. Well, too bad. You have to buy an adapter to plug into that. Or maybe you have, say, a optical device that you use in your professional world. Well, you have to adapt that too. Maybe you have a USB mouse that you really like to use at your desk when you sit your MacBook down there. Well, you have to use an adapter for that too. You have to use a breakout box. The benefit of USB-C, though, and there are a few, is that you can use this breakout box or dongle, and you can attach both a charging cable and you can attach, say, HDMI or DisplayPort, so you can actually get a video signal out of the USB Type-C port, which is cool. It's very cool. But just, Apple, I'm begging you, just give me one USB Type-A port, and I would be okay. I really would be. I wouldn't mind if it was a majority USB-C and they had one USB Type-A port. But no, Apple instead decides to abandon all sense and just give you USB Type-C for some bizarre reason. Apple's not really going to be the leader in design for very much longer, I'm predicting. Oh, well. So in kind of funny news, but also, you know, maybe not funny haha, but funny property destruction haha, a hoverboard, which is not hovering, nor is it a board, so I don't know why they call it that, but a hoverboard caught on fire and burned down some dude's $1 million house. And they're not very happy about that for some reason. They're now suing the company. And this happened in Nashville, by the way. This is almost a semi-local story. A Nashville couple whose home burned down after a hoverboard caught fire has filed a lawsuit against Amazon. I'm not sure if it's Amazon's fault. Like, what if Amazon, and it does, sold the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 and your Samsung Galaxy Note 7 caught on fire and destroyed your brand new Camaro? Would you sue Amazon for fulfilling it, or would you sue Samsung? It seems like an easy dig at the company which has more money, which is Amazon in this particular case. Brian and Megan Fox, not related to the actor, I'm sure, actress, bought a hoverboard for their children in Christmas last year. It burst into flames. It burst into flames on January the 9th. The fire destroyed virtually all their personal belongings in a matter of minutes and nearly killed, this is not funny, nearly killed their 16-year-old daughter and 14-year-old son, according to the couple's complaint. Now, that's not funny at all. The offending hoverboard was purchased through Amazon marketplace store called W Deals and was supposed to carry an original Samsung Advanced battery, but allegedly it actually didn't. The Foxes say that W Deals was a sham entity with a registered address instead of an apartment building, with a registered address of an apartment building in Brooklyn, New York. Inquiries sent to the address were not responded to, which is something that happens a lot with Chinese companies. A lot. If you buy something from a Chinese company and it's fulfilled in the United States, it's probably something like that where they've got a routing address or whatever. There are a lot of companies that use, shell corporations, which has an address, say, like this one does in New York, but that company is then owned by, Shenzhen Electronics LLC, based in Beijing or in Shenzhen itself in China. And that happens a lot, and that's just to be expected. And it is kind of weird when we talk about buying things online where you have a situation where you kind of have to learn how to buy things online. I don't mean you have to learn how to buy things online. That's very easy. I mean, you have to learn how to be savvy about buying things online and not buy something that's going to blow up in your face and kill you. I won't say who, but I know people who are very bad at judging whether or not an item is going to be legit or not when they're buying it online, because they're older, and so they expect that any product sold within the US of A is not going to be a scam, which you kind of have to respect because that was the case for a long time. But as far as I know, the X-ray spectacles that were sold back in the 50s didn't actually allow you to see through anything, so I'm not sure why they have this mentality, but, whatever. Gotta love them. But you have to learn how to shop online, especially for cheap things. I'm a really big fan of AliExpress, which is it's basically Chinese eBay. You buy things on AliExpress or Wish as another example, and it's shipped from China, usually from Shenzhen, which is the major electronics hub in China, and it's shipped straight to your door. And it's really cool, actually. But you have to learn how to shop on there because you'll see things that are going to fall apart. But if you're not shopper savvy, you don't actually know that it's going to fall apart. Well, one way, and this is actually kind of an interesting way to do things, one way to find out if a store is selling legitimate things, AliExpress doesn't have this feature, but GearBest does, is to see if one of the website's major payment options is PayPal. Believe it or not. Amazingly enough, has a function where the people who work at PayPal really care about the public image of PayPal. And so if you see a website which accepts PayPal as a major form of transaction in between the website and the seller, that means it's probably legit. As an example, there are electronics made by a Chinese company called Xiaomi, which I can never spell. I always get the order of the letters wrong. But there's a Chinese company called Xiaomi, which sells electronics, and a lot, and I mean a lot, of companies in China copy Xiaomi and sell things that will probably kill you, or at least maim you very badly. As an example, power banks are really popular. And I guarantee you, any power bank you buy here in the United States is made in China. And it might say it's got a Panasonic battery, but it probably doesn't. There are only a few brands you can trust which will actually have Panasonic batteries in them, which will not blow up and kill you. Panasonic and Xiaomi. Xiaomi's usually a pretty done deal. Now, the problem with buying Xiaomi stuff online is that there's a lot of fake Xiaomi stuff that have batteries in them which aren't nearly up to the capacity they say, 500 milliamp hours or whatever, and could potentially explode and kill you, which is what happened with the Samsung Galaxy or Samsung Note phones, and which is what happened to this poor couple who bought the hoverboard. And so you have to make sure you're buying it from a good company. GearBest tends to be okay. It does take a long time to ship, but if you're buying through PayPal, you don't really have to worry about it being that much of a scam. And PayPal takes its payment system very seriously. If you get scammed, chances are PayPal will actually refund you the money and will punish the other party. So you have a pretty good chance if you're buying something through PayPal, especially on eBay. If you buy something on eBay and you get scammed, talk to PayPal about it, believe it or not. Call up PayPal, tell them your situation, and they may just either refund your money or send you something that's of equivalent value. So PayPal's actually a pretty good way to get things done in terms of not being scammed. It's worth it. The hoverboard is something that's really interesting too, by the way, just as a side note. The hoverboard, as you may have seen, there's no real manufacturer of hoverboards, if that makes any sense. Look up who makes hoverboards, and you'll see zillions of different companies with zillions of different brands making the same thing. And you might expect in a hoverboard, there's, and you know what I'm talking about, it's the platform you stand on. It's got the two wheels on either side. You stand on the insides of those wheels, and you shift forward to move forward, you shift backward to move back, and there are little momentary switches inside that determine which way you're moving. The funny thing about them, though, is you'd expect that there's a gyroscope of some kind inside, some sort of microelectronics that determine how you're moving about. But there actually aren't. There's no gyroscope inside there. There's just variable switches, analog switches that determine how much pressure you're putting on them, and a motor and wheels and a really big lithium-ion battery, and that's it. There's no, hyper cool electronics inside of a hoverboard, believe it or not. You'd think that there would be, but there's actually not. It's seriously just switches. It relies on, it's actually really clever design. It relies on the sort of internal gyroscope that God gave you so you don't fall flat on your face when you're walking. It just relies on the individual's sense of balance to keep you upright. And it works really well. But all of these hoverboards are made in China, for the most part anyway. Either China or Republic of China, Taiwan. And there's not a unified manufacturer for hoverboards. That's why you'll find some that look different from others. They're manufactured by little mom and pop shops in Shenzhen, China, which is the hub of small electronics. Do yourself a favor one time and go on YouTube and look up Shenzhen. That's Shenzen. It's pronounced Shenzhen. Look up Shenzhen on YouTube, and you'll see all sorts of different electronics on there. It's really amazing. I really want to go to the electronics market in China sometime, but don't have the time for that right now, nor the funds. I'm kind of busy being a news director at a radio station. Oh, well. This is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio, hotnewstalkradio.com. And that's an interesting idea, though. The fact that despite China being very much a communist nation, there's still elements of local economy ideas permeating into the People's Republic of China. And I kind of have a theory about capitalism, actually. I like capitalism a lot. Now, capitalism can go too far in the sense that you can sell, kids and stuff, and that's not good. Selling kids is not a good thing. So capitalism can go too far. But within the boundaries, I'd say, of Christianity especially, capitalism is really, it's not a perfect system, but it is one of the best. It is the best, especially when compared to socialism and communism, which really don't work at all. Capitalism really is the best system. And you'll see glimmers, just little nuggets of capitalism, even in communist countries. Think about this. In the Soviet Union, there was a black market, believe it or not, for Levi Strauss jeans. Yeah. And they sold at a really high price. So there's capitalism going on there. And the price is not, I would say, overinflated because they're accounting for the worth of the seller, time, risk, which is huge, rarity, which is also huge, and the secondary risk of the buyer then being arrested for owning these jeans. So there's a huge factor of capitalism that was happening in Soviet Russia back in the day, in the Soviet Union. It's very interesting. In fact, sometimes, even in Canada, you'll see capitalism happening, which is, I think, even more amazing. You'll see little glimmers. I've seen, in my time there, I've seen a few small businesses in Canada that actually do exist, and they're almost open. The police have not shut down these small businesses in Canada yet. Unfortunately, I think that they're heading towards that road soon. As soon as the legislature in Canada finds out that there are small businesses there, they'll probably be shut down very quickly. But this is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio and hotnewstalkradio.com. I think capitalism really is the best system, and it's good to see little glimmers of that, even in places which are normally very oppressive. Local economy is the best economy. Capitalism is the bestism, and life's good. Chill out, guys, and stop by Earth Fair, get yourself a nice craft beer, and have a good time. This is Best Shot here on Hot News Talk Radio. Don't forget to vote. Election coming up Tuesday, Super Tuesday.